It's Friday night, everybody. You know what that means. It's Friday night. Let's have some fun. Let's get together and play a ton.
Hi, I'm Matt.
And I'm John.
And we're
Friday Night Games.
And we want to immerse you into our love of the hobby by educating and entertaining you through our board gaming adventures. Our podcast lands every Friday, and we create content for Instagram, Twitter, YouTube.
Sure.
TikTok. Sure.
OnlyFans.
Oh, could you imagine?
This episode is sponsored by TabletopRenaissance.ca. But we also have other amazing local board game stores too, and we think that they ship across Canada. I know for a fact at least 2 of them do. So try looking them up. So you can check out Brimstone Games, the CG Realm, as well as Area 42 Outpost.
Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 5 of the Friday Night Games Last Space Game Standing Epic podcast of all time. Episode 5, so the last episode. Starting with 5 games chosen by 5 amazing content creators. 1 game will be voted off each week until there's only 1 game left.
Which is tonight.
Yes. John, what happened on the last show?
We eliminated Battlestar Galactica in front of the team that was repping Battlestar Galactica.
How fun was that?
We dropped that mic.
I mean, I was kind of like, oh, I feel bad for you, but I didn't feel bad at all.
I kind of felt bad because for the first episode that I wasn't trying to vote them off, they got voted off.
You failed miserably.
I did.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah. Oh, well.
Well, tonight should be interesting because there's only 2 games left. I mean, you have to fight about which game to kick off. So,
are we going to fight?
I don't know. Maybe not.
I don't know.
Maybe not. Yeah, we'll see. All right, so that leaves us with 2 games. So what are those 2 games again?
I think it's Nemesis and Eclipse left up to battle.
Ooh, we got Twilight Imperium Jr. versus Aliens the movie.
Yeah.
So
Alien the movie, the board game.
But not ripped off of Aliens because the IP is not there. Anyways. All right, so joining us on today's show is Royce from Definitely a Board Game Podcast. Say
Awesome.
Hello, Royce.
Hello, Royce.
Oh, see? I stole that from whenever you do your segments. You and Aaron always do that. Right?
Hey, we've got to have whatever trademark we have. In all fairness, though, I'm pretty sure I stole it from George and Gracie back in the 70s. So, hey.
That's all right.
Wait, it's yours now.
See, I was gonna say
Exactly.
Home Alone, where it's like, say hello, Kevin. Hello, Kevin.
Oh, Home Alone has that too?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, so today, Royce is here to help us vote off either Nemesis or Eclipse. So maybe he'll get revenge, or maybe he just hates the movie Aliens. We'll find out in a minute. And we'll determine which is the best game, or maybe not the worst epic space game of all time, because that's what this show is about. It's not about the best, it's about the most... About not the best.
Not being the worst.
Yeah.
It's a popularity contest. It's just...
True.
It's really
The
just
fact
us.
that I'm on the 5th episode tells me that the intention was for me to be pushing Twilight Imperium here on the 5th, because we all knew it was going to be the best game of them all.
Actually, I just, from what I listened to, in all honesty, your stuff was some of the funniest. So I'm like, oh, Royce has got to be on. And you were having, like, you're trying to get your stuff done. So I'm like, okay, we'll delay it a bit. And your stuff was funny. So I had no problem putting on the...
Well, I appreciate the delay. I needed it. There's no doubt about that.
Do I get a delay?
No.
Okay.
I know where you live, John. So
It only applies to the special guests.
It's true, yeah.
true.
Like for John, I'll just go over and be like, "Look, man, I'll take care of your kids for an hour." Which you would probably take that. You're like, "Okay, yeah,
See it.
yeah, go to the bar, go to watch a Lions game." All right, so Royce, tell everyone where they could find Definitely a Board Game Podcast.
All right, so Definitely a Board Game Podcast, the podcast that's definitely about board games except when it's not. You can find us literally anywhere that podcasts live. We're on iHeartRadio, we're on iTunes, we're everywhere you can find us. If you want to get in contact with us, you can find us also on Twitter at BoardDefinitely, on Facebook at DefinitelyBoard, and our email definitelyboard@gmail.com. Which I'm a little surprised I did that as well as I did, because my co-host Aaron actually does that on all our shows.
Oh, does he?
I should have prepared a little better, but I think I got it right.
No, you nailed it. You nailed it. I like how I like your podcast name is Definitely a Board Game Podcast. You use definitely a lot, which is pretty funny.
really, that's exactly how it happened. We were going through so many possible names. We had all the cutesy meeple names. We had all the possible names we could think of. And finally, we just said, this is definitely the dumbest thing we've ever done. And he says, I can't believe we're definitely doing this. And we're like, well, it's definitely a board game podcast. Anyway, that's all we can agree with. And,
And boom!
There you go.
That's how it turned into it. That's awesome.
yeah, it was not one of those really moments of brilliance so much as just, we give up.
I gotcha. So, did Aaron not want to do this with you? What happened there?
No, it's not that he didn't want to do this to me. So I don't know. Here's the deal.
Okay.
I've been playing games my entire life. I started off playing role-playing games in elementary school. There was actually a role-playing club in my elementary school. I played that through in high school. I got big into Magic. I got big into diplomacy. You want to talk about big, long, heavy games like TI3. I got into diplomacy, and we had a huge club in high school that played diplomacy every single week. I went to tournaments for diplomacy, and I knew Aaron through most of this time.
Okay.
And Aaron was too good for games.
Aaron was cool.
A sports jock. He
Oh.
didn't want to be involved with any of this stuff. He was a musician. And so even though we were friends, we really had nothing in common. So it was really weird that we were really good friends all this time. And it wasn't until the last couple years that Aaron started to sort of say, well, what's going on with board games? And I said, well, look, I want to do a podcast about board games. And Aaron said, well, I just want to do something with you. We haven't done a project together in a long time. And we thought this would be a good way to do it. So I've been sort of like, I don't want to say guiding him in, but that's the case a little bit. And he's been exploring this, and I've been sort of exploring the hobby through him a little bit as well. So it's been this fantastic journey together on something we never thought we would ever do together. So really neat.
Well, I think it's really cool because, we were talking before the show and you were saying how Aaron
Yeah.
has a bunch of skill sets that you don't have. So it's cool
Absolutely,
that you two kind of mesh together, and you do have really good chemistry. Like when I listen to your segments, specifically on what you've been playing Wednesdays, there's a plug for that. Make sure you check that out. We're all on it.
Mm-hmm.
You two have very good chemistry when you're talking.
We've been friends for, well, I don't know, 30 plus years at this point. And
Wow.
if we didn't have some chemistry, I suppose we would have killed each other by now.
Well, it's like the same with Matt and I. Like Matt and I have known each other since kindergarten.
Yeah.
And same things. Like we got different skill sets that we use to collaborate on what we're doing.
Very similarly, John's a musician,
There we go. Right.
and I'm.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell I am. I have a math degree. What does that make me?
Nerd.
Yeah.
Nerd. Yeah, I guess.
But it's
No, I've got nothing else for it other
Yeah.
than nerd.
But it's just nice that, being able to collaborate with, a friend you've known your entire life. I know Matt and I disconnected for a while after grade school because we went to separate high schools and such. But yeah, it's been nice to reconnect and do this with him. So it's nice that someone else has a similar story as well.
Yeah, and that's exactly it as well. We still saw each other, but we didn't see each other very much for a long period of time. I had moved out of Toronto for a while. He hadn't. We gone to different schools, and yeah, it's just been a really neat experience. And it's actually one of those things I don't think would have happened without COVID.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because this was something, at least partially, that came out of he had some time. Where
Yeah.
he had never had time before.
We all have time
started,
now.
I guess, mid-20 early to mid-2020, just as COVID was kind of kicking off, as a fun thing to do for 1 or 2 episodes, and then we ended up here.
So I guess that's kind of a good segue into the next question. Like, how did you two get into content creation? So obviously, COVID got you right into it, right? Because you're playing games, you brought him into it. You're like, hey, we have time. Let's make a podcast. Is that what happened?
Sort of. Like I said, we were looking for a project to do together.
Mm-hmm.
But board games had not been his thing. And it was only in the year or so before COVID that he had started to play some games with us and with some of his friends outside of us. And then at the same time, he suddenly found himself having some spare time, which is not something that he usually has. Aaron he's a minister. He was still doing DJ work at that point. He's a tour guide. He's a musician. He put out his own album last year, and COVID was almost a moment for him to sit back and restock his life, retake his life, look at it, and say what he wanted to do. And I was ready for a project. He was ready for a project, and it all worked out. So yeah, it was an amazing time. We might have done it without COVID, but COVID was definitely the kick in the butt.
Nice. So it accelerated that project, which is really awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
Good. So what games did he start playing with? You could. He's not here to defend himself, so you could just throw him whatever games you want.
Don't worry. If you listen to any episode of our show, I trash him most of the time anyway. No. So it's interesting because, again, we're coming at this from very different directions. So he prefers lighter, more social games. I generally prefer heavier, more intense games that require a little more concentration. If a game is too serious for him, he tends to not like it because he can't talk while he's playing. He needs
really?
to concentrate too much, and I'm the opposite. I want to be head down, playing my game, making sure. But
you're like
but we do have some overlap, and we're both willing to play literally anything.
Right. So you in front of you see graphs and numbers, and it's like the Hangover, like that scene when he's at the casino, right? And Aaron's.
It's interesting you went there instead of the "Life is Beautiful" scene. And actually, that was spoofing. Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, Hangover was a better movie.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Or more entertaining, I guess. Better movie's questionable. Cool. Yeah. No, that's.
And then for him, it's much more of a social event than it is anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So it's neat. He's actually introduced me to new games that I would never have picked up, although not all of them are great.
What do you get you to play?
Well, I was one that wasn't so great. I played Seven Dragons just the other night with him.
Okay.
Have you played that one?
No, I haven't played that one.
No. It's a Looney Labs, so Andrew Looney. So that tells you a lot right off the bat. Quite random card game. He introduced me to Ramen Fury, which I would probably never have played without him. That one I actually quite enjoyed.
Yep.
Yeah. Like, these are games that I probably would not have picked up, that they seem a little too light for me. And I find myself enjoying them. And at the same time, I can't throw him into an 18xx game, maybe.
Right.
But I can bring him into a medium-heavy Euro, as long as I pick a medium-heavy Euro that I think will appeal to him on theme or something like that as well.
Right. Yeah, and that's actually, I think that is the conundrum of everyone who's the rules person, is like, can I get a game to get other people engaged?
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So,
right.
Like, so I'm guessing you're the rules person. Am I right, Royce?
I am.
Yeah.
I am. I'm the rules person. I have most of the games in our game group. Like, everybody has a few games. Aaron's actually up to over 100, which kind of blows me away. He went from like half a dozen at the beginning of this
like
podcast process.
This is weird. I feel like this is you guys are our doppelganger podcast or something. Just as funny.
But yeah, I normally teach the rules. I like teaching. It's what I do for a living as well. So yeah, teaching is fun for me.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We're doppelgangers, right? Like, I feel like I'm you, Royce. Me and you are the same person. We laugh a lot. We crack a bunch of jokes. And John is probably Aaron. They're probably like...
I have this vision of us holding arms and skipping through the fields together. We finally located each other.
Or is it like...
it's only a 4-hour drive away.
It's true.
Let's do it.
Or is it like Highlander? Like, we meet each other, and then there's like a rift. We have to like fight.
Don't touch each other. It'll be a paradox.
That thing you're feeling, the quickening.
There could only be one of us. There'll only be one. Anyways, I like that second one, but that would just be for a crazier ending, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
It would make the convention very interesting. We'll run around with swords and try to chop each other's head off the whole weekend.
Oh, you know what? You said you played Magic. I play Magic. We should just have a Magic off. Aaron and John don't, right? I know John does it. I'm assuming Aaron does it. That way, those two will just watch.
He doesn't. Yeah. It'll be interesting. I'll be honest, I haven't played Magic for at least a decade. I'm way behind.
Look,
the last set that I bought in any real, I think, was Fallen Empires back in the day. So.
Look, we're not really going to be playing. We're just going to be throwing cards at each other.
Oh, that I can do.
Yeah.
All right.
Whoever gets the least paper cuts wins, okay? That's what's going to happen.
Least paper cuts.
All right. Well, now you listeners know where this podcast is going to go. All right.
Yeah, it's not getting any better. This is it.
This is it. Yeah, this is the high point. All right. So we're going to do what we're here to do, and that is choose a winner between Nemesis and Eclipse.
And the TI-3 surprise return.
No, the big surprise would be On Mars out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere. It just comes in.
Like, oh, by the way, these teams back.
Oh, wait, On Mars is an amazing game. Come on. It really was a great game.
It is.
It's not a space game.
It is, but when it's just an economic game. But when you compare it to what it's up against, those are better games. I even think Space Team is a better game It's a questionable answer right there, but I think it's better.
Yeah.
I think Aaron might like Space Team, and that might tell you something about what I think about it.
Well, you know what? Now you should play with him because he will like it. Everyone I've recommended to has a blast.
Cool.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, so you're going to hear everyone's answers on why the other games suck and their choice doesn't.
And we literally told everyone to trash talk each other.
Yeah.
So let's do it. John, yo. Hey, man. Do you think we made it this far?
Hells to the yes.
Dude, why do the other games suck? Straight to the point. Let's start doing it.
Just so you know, everyone's probably ripping on Mars.
Oh, right.
But, for unforeseen circumstances, that game got cut the last minute, so we threw on us repping Space Team. So
yeah, we really threw a wrench in everyone's plans. I am hoping to hear what they say about On Mars, but
yeah, we'll see. Maybe we'll figure it out.
Anyways, this is us ripping on the other games. So
all right, let's start with Nemesis.
Yeah.
This is my Nemesis.
You tell me what you don't like about it. All right.
Okay, so you had to back it on Kickstarter, number one.
Yeah.
And then it showed up at your house with 4,000 boxes.
Literally a crate. I'm pretty sure they pull it off a truck with a forklift.
Yeah. So like the shipping on that's like probably so much money. $1 million.
Canadian $1 million here. Let's just.
And the rules have a video that I fell asleep to, number one, that don't really explain anything. And everyone's done Aliens.
Oh.
Ridley Scott did Aliens in the 70s. We don't need it in 2020s. You know what I mean? It's overdone. It's blatantly ripping off Aliens. And, come on. Where's the originality?
Right. Okay, Eclipse. You can't even buy this game. This game doesn't even exist.
I've never heard of it.
Dude, this game is apparently a remake. You can't buy either. I've been trying to buy this game for years. Nice. I feel like it's been years now, okay? In fact, if another podcast we discussed, I don't think this game actually exists. If the other people think it exists, I don't think it exists. I think it's just a lie. Anyone who tells you otherwise is a liar. Definitely did not play it because we know that it didn't exist. And they probably stole it. They probably stole the copy. I mean, it takes a million times. It takes forever to play. You could play Space Team a bajillion times in that period of time.
Right. Then you have Twilight Imperium. I mean,
boring.
Apparently, you can play this game over a whole day. I don't know why you would want to subject yourself to one game for an entire day. I mean, go get some fresh air. All right.
Yeah.
Go get yourself a drink of water.
Don't punish yourself.
The game has a freaking space tiger.
Dude. Isn't it a lion?
Fine.
Okay, hold on.
It's a lion.
Who put the Detroit Lions in this game? You know it's bad when the Detroit Lions have been injected into a game.
Yeah, we already punished enough for watching them on TV.
Every Sunday.
We don't want to play them, a lion in this game, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you want to punish the player base? Fine, go ahead. Also, go ahead, vote it to win, if that's how you feel. All right, let's talk Battlestar Galactica. Sure, your ship is in chaos, but no one's yelling at each other.
We all know we're already robots or Cylons, whatever. In fact, we are always just a bunch of robots trying to play a game anyway. You might as well just play the game of life. It's shorter, components are just as visually appealing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
have you seen the visual effects in this game? It looks like it's from the 80s, okay? Yeah. This is no one wants to play that. I didn't even stand the test of time. Okay, sure, Battlestar Galactica is amazing. Okay.
And what's even worse? The company lost the license to actually produce it as Battlestar Galactica, so they suck.
Yeah, you have to buy it as Unfathomable, which sucks. Actually, it's really good.
Yeah, we can't talk bad about it.
Yeah, it's actually really good. But you know what? Whatever, man. If you can't keep that license, why should this game win?
Right.
Am I voting for Unfathomable? Is that what I'm doing? That's not a space theme.
No.
So loses. Anyways,
disqualified.
You're probably better going to play Monopoly anyway. That's my suggestion.
All right, thanks for listening, and don't forget to not vote off on Space Team.
Space Team is going to win. We know it won. Thank you. Mic drop.
Why should you buy Nemesis over any of the other games right now? Jay, do you want to handle that?
Yeah, so the other competition is On Mars, Eclipse, Twilight Imperium, and Battlestar Galactica. I didn't forget anyone.
Yeah, you just can't pronounce it.
Yeah, I can't pronounce these, but I know you shouldn't buy those at all. You should definitely buy Nemesis. I mean, On Mars is, I mean, everybody's seen that movie with Matt Damon. It's just about gardening in space. It's so boring.
Poop
okay?
potatoes.
And I mean, look, if you're a fan of vampire movies, go with Twilight Imperium. Go with Eclipse. I mean, we know what happened, right? Okay, Kristen Stewart left the guy. Boring. Vampires in space. Nobody wants to play that. Okay, Twilight Imperium, Eclipse. Come on. And what's the other one? Battlestar Galactica.
Now,
oh yeah.
okay,
Hang on.
hold on.
I'm about to rip a new one here. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, Battlestar Galactica. People are like, ooh, it's got the best trader mechanic in board games. False. Nemesis does.
Yeah,
because
absolutely false.
everybody can be a traitor, and everyone could still try to win.
Yeah, and what's a Cylon? I mean, that
Who
sounds
cares
like
about Cylon?
No, it sounds like something you buy at like a high-end boutique in New York. You know,
Or some made-up Toys R Us like
Right.
brand shelf toy.
yeah, and besides, it's an IP game. I mean, what 4 seasons of the show? Only 2 were good. I mean, come on.
Yeah, how good
Battlestar
could it be?
Galactica.
I mean, really.
Yeah, it was canceled.
But Nemesis, it's a unique IP.
Yeah.
Sure, it's based on something that is popular, that's really good, because why would you not base it on
like
something that's
8
not
alien
amazing?
movies. Hello, there's 8. You know it's good when there's 8
Yeah,
alien
I mean,
movies.
how good was Battlestar Galactica anyway? Is
No.
anyone still talking about it?
No.
Not really.
No, and plus the original was way better. Shots fired.
Boom. Now, I really think that Nemesis is superior over all of these, because on Mars, it's basically just a Euro with a pasted-on theme. Like you could say, oh well, it's not Mars, it's the country of wherever.
Yeah, it's on Denmark.
Yeah,
Sure.
on Denmark, and then
Easy.
you're still pushing things around, and you got your transportation. I've played it; it's not all that great.
Yeah, Eclipse, poor man's Twilight Imperium. Let's just say it.
Ooh,
Poor man's
shots
Twilight
fired
Imperium.
twice.
Okay.
Bam, bam.
That's it. And then Twilight Imperium. I mean, come on. You're up against a space lion. I mean,
Space Lions.
enough said. Space
Please,
lions.
please,
Please.
come on.
Not even
on.
realistic. They can't. They don't even have opposable thumbs. They can't fly a spaceship.
At least with Nemesis, you have
Ridiculous.
various different creatures, but they're all the same species in their different evolution cycle. Like Twilight just makes up all these crazy like people that have nothing to do with anything,
Yeah,
and you're like, are you saying that there's some universe here
It's like
that I
bad
need
fan
to,
fiction,
like,
folks. Bad fan
bad
fiction.
fan fiction is how I describe Twilight Imperium. Plus, you know what? If you want to play one of these two games, would you walk over and say, let's play this 12-hour Twilight Imperium game?
Yeah.
Or Nemesis, where you can get an amazing thematic experience of space and aliens and traitors
In a fourth of the time.
in 3 to 4 hours.
That's right.
Done.
Yeah. Then you can go on to do something else, like burn Twilight Imperium.
Yep.
That's right.
I would never say to burn a board game, but
No.
you know.
No. Unless it's Battlestar Galactica, but then go right ahead.
Pew pew. So that's our trash
that's a hot
talking
take.
segment, which is fun.
We love you all. We're
Yeah.
Just,
Oh, yeah, this is
This tongue in
great.
cheek. We love you all. Your picks are, well, they're not great, but it's okay. They're good. They're okay.
And we don't know which one is going to be left over here at the 5th episode.
That's right.
You know, so we gotta kind of toss out all
Yeah.
five, all the other 4, I guess.
Yeah, we have to. We have to go hard.
Hello, everybody. This is Rob,
And Anna Marie.
and we are the Maple Dungeon. You can find us on Twitter and YouTube, and our own podcast on all the major podcasting sites. And we are here in the 5th and final episode of the Friday Night Games Last Game Standing.
Eclipse.
And Eclipse is obviously the last game standing at this
Definitely.
point. And we all know that TI has been out since round 1. So I'm not sure who else is here with us at this time, but it's definitely not them. But we're here to talk about why Eclipse is better than all the others and why we should buy Eclipse and not those other quote-unquote
Yeah.
space games.
Challenge accepted.
Yes. So the first one we're going to talk about is Nemesis.
Nemesis.
How many alien races are in Nemesis?
Oh, let me count. I got it. Give me a second. Oh, wait. Just one.
Yeah, just one. How many are in Eclipse? A dozen?
More
Yes.
than one. Absolutely.
Yeah, so that is, by my count, that's 12 times the amount of aliens in Eclipse than in Nemesis. So that's
Math checks
inexcusable.
out.
Yeah, so when it comes to space math, more aliens the better. So, I mean, it's just a fact.
Fact.
How many ships are in Nemesis?
Oh, wait. Oh, nope. Just one.
Yikes. The space math is checking out again. There are fleets and fleets of ships in Eclipse against one.
Many,
So
many, many,
when we're
many
talking
ships.
100 times the amount of ships, that's bad news for Nemesis. So space math checking out. Nemesis doesn't stand a chance
Doesn't
against
stand
Eclipse.
up.
One ship
No.
and one alien race. Pff. Like, what are you even doing?
Get out of town.
Like, you call yourself a space game. Right. Okay. Nemesis. We're on to On Mars. Okay, this is just a bland, Euro-y game. I'll give it, it's got a nice, pretty box.
Yeah. So the art's, it's pretty.
Yeah, but is it actual space?
Nope.
No.
No Hubble images on Mars there.
No, I don't
not
think
in
so.
that game.
Nope. You're just going from your ship to Mars, to your ship to Mars, to your ship to Mars.
Wait, let me try. To your ship to Mars.
Yeah, you got it.
Oh,
That's
awesome.
the game. Yeah, which is not unlike, going from your car to the grocery store. And then you go back out to your car and you forgot something and you're going back into the grocery store. So, it's safe to say you could re-theme On Mars to grocery store the game.
Yep.
You're just juggling things as you're coming out and you forgot the mustard and you got to go back in. And it's as exciting as it sounds. Yes.
And it's pretty steep, the price.
Yeah. You're paying that kind of money for a game that could be re-themed into a grocery store game? I don't think so.
This is a
Mars.
space theme, not grocery theme.
Get out of here, On Mars. You're not even close. Battlestar Galactica, you're next.
Battlestar Galactica.
Come on.
There's a problem. You have an IP that has an awful box cover that doesn't appeal to people who don't know the original show.
So horrible.
And, another problem.
Come on.
I don't know if this was the issue, but you lose the license, or maybe you just have to rebrand so that you can reach a larger audience.
Or maybe pick a brand right the first time. Something that people actually like.
Or a different cover that would maybe draw people in.
Yeah, it just, yikes, that game. I looked at it many times and I just walked past it.
Yeah.
This is not a game I want on my shelf.
No.
It's ugly. It's a theme that I don't know or care about.
Yeah.
Get out of my face, Battlestar Galactica.
Battlestar Schmattelstar.
Yeah.
That's what I gotta say.
Schmattelstar. And then we've got TI to talk about last. We all know that they, were bounced out in the first round, obviously. But what does TI have that Eclipse doesn't? Nothing.
So, Eclipse is like a beautiful, juicy steak. Or,
yes, delicious.
if you're a vegetarian or vegan, like a party in your mouth Moroccan yam burger.
Yeah, also
right?
delicious.
So tasty. TI.
What did TI be?
TI is a meatloaf.
Yeah.
It's thick and dense, and the whole time you're playing, or you're eating, sorry. You stick with the analogy here. The whole time you're eating, you're wishing you were having a juicy steak like Eclipse.
Yeah, and it's like a meatloaf that was just hastily thrown together, and it's like
burnt on
Friday
the edges.
night, and you're trying to put the kids to bed, and you're just trying to cook something for you to eat after the kids are in bed, and you're just throwing things from the fridge at no rhyme or reason into a pot, and you're throwing it in the oven and hoping for the best. What is that? TI.
It's not a juicy steak.
It's no juicy steak.
No.
It is no Eclipse.
No.
Eclipse is a fine steak.
Yeah.
Medium
Your
rare.
best cut.
Delicious.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Basted in some garlic butter.
That's exactly
just tasty.
what it is. So why should we buy this game?
Because it's the best.
It's purely
It is.
the best space game ever made.
Pure fun. It's accessible to everybody. There is something in it for everybody.
Yeah, you're a Euro player, you'll love this game. You're a minis and area control, domination, combat player, this is your game.
You get to make your board.
Yeah.
Modular board. Amazing.
You got 4 people coming for game night? Great, let's
problem.
play Eclipse. You got 5 people coming? Great, let's play Eclipse. You got 6 people
Even
coming?
better.
Let's do it. Eclipse is
Plays
happening,
so
and we're
well.
still going to be done in 3 hours. We could play it again if we want. We could play it twice in the time you play a game of TI.
Yeah.
No one wants to do that. No one wants to play TI and stretch it out for that long. You crazy? It's crazy.
Yeah. No. This Eclipse is just awesome.
Yeah.
Pure
Eclipse,
fun.
Best space game of all time.
Best
obviously.
space game of all time.
We're about to take
ever.
the crown, so we'll just pat ourselves on the back right now, and we will accept the trophy in the
Thank
next episode. All right? This has been a blast. Thanks, guys. We're out of here.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, I'm Royce Calverley from Definitely a Board Game Podcast, and this is my last chance, my last opportunity to convince you that Twilight Imperium is the definitive space game. I've already talked about how it's the only space game that has everything. It has planets, it has asteroids, it has ships, it has armies, it has technologies, it has 17 different races, it has everything. It is space, and it encompasses everything that is space. But if that hasn't sold you yet, I'm not going to convince you with that. What can I convince you with? Well, let's look at some of the advantages that Twilight Imperium has over some of these other options that were put forth. First of all, let's talk about longevity. This is a game that was first designed in 1997. The second edition came out shortly after that, and the third edition came out in 2005. The third edition was where they got it right, and for 13 years, until 2017 and 2018, it didn't change. 2018, the fourth edition, is more of a refinement on the third edition rather than a new version, so there is no reason that this version won't still be playable, exciting, fun, enjoyable in 2030. This is a game that will be on your shelf forever. I still play my Twilight Imperium 3rd edition. The 3rd edition is the one that I prefer, although I admit the 4th edition is probably a little bit better, but there's a bit of a nostalgia there for me. The 13 years that game was available for sale is unheard of now. Games just don't stay on the shelf that long anymore. This one will. If you pick up Twilight Imperium 4th edition today, you'll still be able to get it in 20 years. Alright, so what's the next thing? Well, the next thing is variability. And this goes to what's in the box. The box comes with 17 unique races, all of them different, all of them with their own strategies and skills. You can play 17 games without ever repeating your player race. Or you can play the same race multiple times and try to improve it, try to do better. Even if you do that, it's still going to be completely different because every time you play, you get a random setup. The worlds, the maps, the galaxies are going to be different. They're going to build out differently. They're going to appear differently. You can't count on certain planets being available. It's always going to be different. Even if you could say, well, I'm only going to play the one race, and I'm only going to play the one board setup, and I'm going to play that over and over and over again, you still have the technology trees. And you can do a different technology path each time. So there are so many different ways to play this game that you will never play the same game twice. And that's why this is such an experience game. That's why people always say, remember that game of Twilight Imperium when? Because every game is unique. Every game is different. It's not like any other game where it just feels the same. And then the last one. The last thing, the big advantage of Twilight Imperium, people have spoken, blah, 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 it's so long, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, it's a little bit longer than the others, but that's a good thing. Here's why. $1 per hour gameplay ratio. Yep. A game gets 6 players. Let's say it takes 6 hours. That's 36 hours of gameplay per session. Think about that. After a few games, your $1 per hour gameplay ratio is going to be just a few cents per hour. This is going to be the most economical, the most feasible game that you will ever purchase. If you look at it right. Anyway, that's it for me. We are done with these little intro snippets. This is the last chance I had to convince you until my episode anyway. So here we go. Twilight Imperium. It is space in a box. It will last forever. It has more variability than any other game on your shelf. And it's cheap, if you look at the $1 per hour gameplay ratio. Thank you very much. I'm Royce. I'm from Definitely a Board Game Podcast. You can find our podcast anywhere that podcasts live. Thank you so much, and have a great day, everybody.
You are listening to Of Dice and Men, a podcast about board games, the people that play them, and the culture surrounding the hobby. We are on Friday Night Games, taking part in Last Game Standing, 2nd edition, talking about the best space games. And our game, of course, is Battlestar Galactica, because as the best podcast out there, we are going to choose the best space game out there, which, of course, is Battlestar Galactica. But I want to know from I'm Ryan, and we're here with Chad and Adam. Hi. What reason should you buy this one over any of the other space games out there? Because there are a lot.
So the reason I think Battlestar Galactica is the game to buy out of all the other chaff that the other hosts are talking about, is player engagement. I'll sell you on that phrase alone. BSG is wonderful when it comes to player engagement, because not only are you really concerned about what's happening on your turn, but you also care about what other players are doing, partially because of the hidden traitor mechanic, but also because, like, even if you trust the other 3 or 4 or 5 people sitting at the table, you still care about their crisis checks, and you still care about what's happening to the ship, because you're on a shared board. It is cooperative until you find the hidden traitor, right? So because of that, I've never felt a part of BSG where I wasn't watching or playing or interested in what was happening. There's always something cool going on. It's not just take my turn and sit back for 20 minutes until my next turn, right?
Right.
And it's
besides the
so
player,
easy to get to the table too, right? Like, because this game appeals to the noobs who are like, oh yeah, I heard of that show. Sure, I'll give a space game a try. But it also, because of the depth and the drama of the game, it also appeals to even the most learned and experienced of board gamers.
That's kind of where I come in, is with the drama of the game, is that I love games that have a dramatic narrative that they tell. And this one, more than almost any other game I've played, just tells an incredible story from the start to the end of the game that, like, has people like cheering and giving high fives and laughing and talking about it 2 years later, maybe like that big betrayal that occurred. And that's a rarity in life, let alone board games. So I really appreciate that ability to just like converse with friends about that one time that one thing happened. It's just awesome. But you mentioned the chaff that other podcasts are talking about. I think I just want to throw some of those other games under the bus really quickly if we could.
It's so much better than what's that one, that cheap Alien ripoff that's like super expensive?
What, Nemesis?
Nemesis. Yeah, right. Nemesis. Get a name.
I mean, Ryan and I have played Nemesis, and it's like, it's got some neat ideas in there, but it's very much a, like, I'll work with you if I have to type of game. Like, it's not nearly as engaging, I would say, as of a game as something like Battlestar Galactica. Come on.
Yeah, I think back to the Nemesis game that I played, and I can't recall much of anything about it except for it had like a big alien mini.
Right.
And if that's all I can remember about the game compared to the stories that I can remember from Battlestar Galactica, that's not cutting it.
Right. I was going to say, how about On Mars? Like, that's that big...
That Matt Damon one? No.
That's that big Vital Lacerda Euro game. Have you guys even played it?
Dry Euros just really don't compare to exciting, thematic, dramatic games that, like, grip you. So it just doesn't appeal to me,
Yeah, I like economic engine games, but usually I'll be perfectly happy to play someone else's copy, especially with the sticker price of On Mars, because it's a very expensive game.
Yeah, I think it's swinging at like 180 Canadian or something like that. It's that's for something that is a very red cube pusher. I'm not sure I'm interested in spending that kind of money.
Oh, and speaking of the economy games, what about that, like, what TI4 Lite? What's it called? Eclipse, where they just are like, hey, let's make this game, but make it less so in every way. Great idea, guys. I'm not saying Eclipse isn't good, but it's more about empire management than it is about space. You win Eclipse by having the most balanced checkbook at the end of the game, not by being the best at space.
Yeah, you
right?
draw a tile, you place a tile, you figure out what you're going to do with the tile, you look at all these icons. It's not player engagement like it is, as you mentioned, Chad, that it is with Battlestar Galactica.
Oh my! I lost my pink planet. I got to take the cube off the board and put it on the planet.
Oh yeah,
right.
Lame cube pusher. Next.
Yeah.
So then Twilight Imperium. Now, Adam's talked about how it's so easy to get Battlestar Galactica to the table if you wanted to, with casual and hardcore gamers alike. Twilight Imperium, not so much. If you're not a hardcore gamer who's willing to give up an entire day, you're going to have a hard time getting that to the table.
Yeah, a lot of people talk about the big playtime of that game. It's like a 6-8 hour game, depending on how many people you're playing with. But no one mentions the 3 hours beforehand that you have to spend reading the rules or getting up to speed or figuring out what the hell you're doing as a new player.
Oh,
it's just...
and let's not forget how unforgiving the
Sleeper Agent activated. Twilight Imperium is the best game ever. You will all be destroyed. Destroyed. Twilight Imperium is epic and operatic. It is the greatest thing. There's 17 gosh darn factions. How can you even say these things?
Adam's the Cylon. We found him.
I revealed myself as a Cylon.
Actually, I'd like to say I knew it. And he's out the airlock.
Yeah, we got him.
So now it's down to a 2-person show, but it's still a Dice and Men. thank you for voting for us because, of course, we're winning this, taking the championship home for Battlestar Galactica.
Man, that was so good. That was hilarious.
Yeah, there was some funny trash talking in there, that's for sure.
Like I love episode 5 of this because that last snippet of people just like trash talking every game is just so funny to me.
Yeah, I think my favorite thing that I got out of it was, so who's the one that compared On Mars to grocery shopping?
Oh, that was Meeple Dungeon.
Meeple Dungeon. I was like, because I literally did that today at the grocery store. I forgot something in my car and I had to go back out and grab it. And I was like, damn,
yeah, and that's
life.
I mean, On Mars could be. I know On Mars wasn't even in.
Yeah,
we eliminated it. We put our game in there, but On Mars is just an economic game. So yeah, it might as well be you grocery shopping. Maybe we could just re-theme it. So maybe On Mars could be in every single Last Game Standing.
That we do from now on.
Yeah,
I like it.
That could be like a hidden joke / Easter egg. And then Dyson Men had like Cylon voices going on. I don't know.
Yeah.
What's up with that? And then Meeple Mentor pointed out that Twilight Imperium had a lion. Everyone points this out. Why is there a space lion? Why? And then we pointed that out too. But you know what's really funny about ours? I laugh like every time I hear it. I laugh. We talk about the Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
It's Space Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
Especially tongue in cheek because they are the worst team this year.
Yeah, they're really bad. So.
It's like
you got to remember, there are so many alien races in TI3. You're going to run out of inspiration at some point.
You're right. I mean, they do have turtles. They do have lions. Yeah. What else am I missing?
It's like they sit in a room and have like a bunch of animal or creature things listed on the wall, and they just throw darts and whatever sticks. That's what the next alien race is.
Daddy, you should put my lion in the game.
Yes,
dear.
Fine. He's like an emo, like flips his hair, like I guess.
My dad hates me. I hate my dad.
Oh man, but Royce, what happened on this one? Okay? First of all, I just want to say that, like, especially if you're a listener, Royce's segments up to this one were all hilarious. What happened with this? What happened? You're trying to defend this to the death.
I don't know. I maybe it's because I've been so nasty in all the others and so mean in some of the others. I felt like taking the high horse. Maybe I put them out of order. Maybe it was supposed to be last week's and this week when I sent it to you. I don't know. Or maybe I was getting really busy towards the end there. Maybe I just sort of ran out of steam. I don't know. But I'm what it really is, I'm sure, is I was just so sure that it was going to win that I didn't even have to worry about that. I mean, come on. Like, how could I lose? I'm already in
the greatest game of all time. Yes. Yeah. Like, why wouldn't you be? I mean, it does seem set up. Like, you're in this 5th episode. It seems like it should be up. Like it should be an easy choice. But that's not how this thing goes. Yeah. No.
I just feel like you brought it to rub my nose in it just a little bit here.
I definitely did not.
How we eliminated you.
No. If anything, this podcast made me want to play Twilight Imperium.
Actually, because honestly, and the listeners can attest, although you haven't listened to any, because only episode 1 has been released so far.
Right.
So you haven't heard any of it, but every single one is like, oh, Twilight Imperium's the best. Twilight Imperium.
But we're going to vote it off.
Yeah,
Twilight Imperium's the best, though.
It really is.
I feel like you're just getting rid of like the obvious winner to have, the controversy and have a little bit.
I think it's just, look, everyone knows Twilight Imperium is the best game. It's super epic, but when you really boils down to is that all these games are awesome. Right.
Especially Space Team.
Right.
Absolutely.
And especially specifically Space Team. But we want people to try different things, right?
Right.
And it's also about what isn't the worst, right? So everything has a flaw. Mm-hmm. Can something make it through without being the worst in every single category? And that's technically what wins. It isn't really like you're the best. It's you're just not the worst.
We always have to remember there is an age difference here between Twilight Imperium and all of these other games.
Right.
It's been around, and it's not new. It's not, I admit, it's not as exciting as it once was. Because these new games, even I'm looking at some of these new games and going, I want to play that now. That looks exciting. Despite what I may or may not have said in previous episodes.
Well, I think that's like that for everybody, right? Like, these games are all fantastic. I actually think some people were trying to nominate Twilight Imperium, but you just called it first, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm
Yep,
pretty
yep.
sure someone wanted
That's
to do that.
interesting because I had a really hard time deciding which game I was going to do. Like that was one of my first thoughts, but I really was trying to think of something else. Like, I thought about Star Trek Attack Wing, for instance, which is
Oh,
one of my
nice.
first loves. I love Star Trek Attack Wing. I
Nice.
thought about even Terraforming Mars, although that one's a little bit of a gimme, I think. But
Yeah, we actually we played a bunch of space games leading up to this, Terraforming Mars being one of them, and I'm like, I was surprised no one elected it, because I'm like, that is like, that's the original. I know it's not as exciting as these ones, but it is like the original one that someone should have been like, hey, if you're gonna play on Mars, you might as well play Terraforming Mars. This is a better game.
And I think if you were trying to do this from a gamemanship point of view, if you're really wanting to win, maybe Terraforming Mars was the way to go. But if you want to do something fun, I love Terraforming Mars, but it's not fun to defend. Everybody knows about it. Everybody's heard of it. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not a little bit in the past, so it's not a little forgotten. Yeah, it's not fun.
Yeah, you're right. It is
for this show. Sorry.
Yeah, we're about fun here. We're not about the best. Well, maybe we are. I don't know. Who knows? I don't even know. I don't even know what I was gonna say there. I don't even know what my stance was gonna be, to be honest with you. Sometimes I just shoot from the hip. Our listeners know.
I'm curious, is space games a real big theme with you guys? Do you really like space games, or was it just a good theme for this kind of a competition?
I think it was because we sort of just randomly start
we played five.
A bunch of games on the table, and they just happened to all be like space games, and it just seems like everything coming out in past couple years have been like space theme as well.
And I think that has to do with the industry too. The industry is very I'm not going to say copycat-ish, but they like to pull themes from each other. So for instance, Dune Imperium came out. It was very popular. It was very well received. So then you start seeing more and more space games come out all at the same time.
Right. Yeah, it's a little bit conservative that way. If something does well, everybody else starts to sort of say, oh, well, I'll do that too, to some extent.
Right, like Roll and Rights. And then I think over the last year, it was Polynominos or whatever. Yeah. Tetraminos, whatever they want to call them. But every game had that in it. I'm like, oh.
I love polyomino games as long as they have something else. I can't stand patchwork and those sorts of things. It's just But anyway, that's a whole other subject. We can deal with that later.
That's Last Game Standing number 10. Polyominoes, best patchwork game. Yeah,
it's Feast for Odin. We all know it's Feast for Odin. There's no point doing it.
Well, if it's on our show, we'll vote off Feast for Odin second episode or something. Right after our joke.
It was Twilight Imperium 3 too. So what do I know?
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. Oh man. Okay, well, let's get down to this voting right now. So, Royce, you want to let the listeners know what you're voting for, or sorry, what you want to vote off and why?
All right. So, look, this is really easy for me because a little bit of behind the scenes secret magic thing. I voted for Nemesis to be voted off every single round up till now. So clearly, my opinion, not the opinion of the general public. It's not that Nemesis isn't an excellent game. It's not the type of game I love, and all the other games really work, with the exception of space, whatever. But I love On Mars and Eclipse. Let's face it, it is TI3 Junior or TI Junior.
Yep.
But the art is beautiful. It is streamlined. They have done a wonderful job creating a new game that encompasses most of what TI had with a little less bloat. And I can be honest about that. TI is a little bit bloated, and Eclipse does a great job with fantastic visuals, which is one of the things TI did not do great. It's not as pretty on the board, for sure.
So do you think if Fantasy Flight just kind of rethemed Twilight Imperium, it would be better than Eclipse? If they just kind of made a, got rid of the space Detroit Lions and put in some real space tigers?
No, not that at all. No, I think it's just it's a rules thing.
Okay.
TI4 streamed down TI3. Eclipse is what TI4 probably should have been.
Mm-hmm.
They were afraid of offending the TI players.
Oh, okay.
So they needed to keep some of the original TI that maybe isn't as smooth and as streamlined as it could be, because if they didn't, people would complain that TI4 is no longer TI.
Oh, okay.
And they actually walked that line beautifully well. I don't know anybody who said TI3 is better than TI4. I know lots of people, myself included, who have a soft spot for 3 because of nostalgia or whatever it might be, and would rather play that, but we still admit 4 is better. But if they had gone as far as Eclipse had, I think they would have upset the original fans.
I gotcha.
That makes a lot of sense.
So I think they did a really good job. And yeah, my vote has to be for Nemesis to go over Eclipse.
Gotcha. So you think Nemesis is just, it's a good game, but it's just not as good as Eclipse?
Yeah.
Because Eclipse is
Yeah,
just...
exactly right.
Gotcha.
Yep.
There you go.
Awesome.
We got to vote.
So I want to know what you want to vote off, Matt. I always go first.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I made a lot of notes, so let me put my glasses on right here. I mean, there's only 2 games left, right? And I'm going to base it off of the trash talking. So Nemesis was, the biggest joke was it's space math, right? Basically, there's only one alien in it, only one ship. It's not really thematical space, it's thematical one spaceship.
Mm-hmm.
People, you can argue it's a cheap Aliens ripoff. Although true to space, it is not a true to space epic theme, right? Because it's on one spaceship, because it only has, one set of aliens. You have a trader mechanic, which is cool, but it really isn't that unique. The one thing I do like about that trader mechanic, and I've said it before on several podcasts, is, you can choose to be the trader. You don't actually have to. So I think that's really cool. The gameplay is phenomenal in it, but it is a very long game too. Eclipse is a Euro game, right? And it's themed well, and it's kind of like, we keep saying it's Twilight Imperium Jr., but it really does encompass everything of space, right? More than Nemesis. So I don't want to, because I actually think I actually like Nemesis better. Like, it fits me, but it doesn't actually fit the theme of the best space game. So I'm gonna vote. I want to vote Nemesis off. So sorry, everybody.
Yeah, and you know what, Matt? You hit a lot of good points with Nemesis. I was actually going into this before listening to everyone's responses. I was like, I think I wanted to vote off Eclipse because I just haven't played it. I don't know what that experience is like. But I think after listening to everyone's all the episodes and everyone's opinions, and just thinking of what the overarching space epic that we're going for, I think that my vote would have to be Nemesis as well to be voted off, just because when I think of space and space themed things, I want it to be big, I want it to be epic, I want it to have adventure. Space isn't all about horror either, right? So I think
space exploration is
space
exploration
is where it's at. And I think I had fun playing Nemesis, but I think sitting down and playing a game like Eclipse or Twilight Imperium would be something that would be very worthwhile. I know they're longer games. This might not be as easy to get to the table, but I definitely, by the sounds of it, seems very worth everyone's time. So,
well, on that note, Twilight Imperium wins. Yay! All right, so we're voting.
I would like to thank the Academy. I would like to thank everyone who's been involved in this.
It's all been a ruse. It's been
Space Team
the whole time.
Yeah.
And I'll just finish the transfer of funds now.
Oh yeah. So sorry, Nemesis. You do, honestly though, Nemesis does have a soft spot in my heart, and it's, if you haven't played it, though, you should go play it. 100%.
I mean, if you want a good nap, you can throw on the YouTube training video and just put your feet up like I did.
Yep. And I witnessed that, so that is 100% true. John did sleep through every single rule set of all those games.
Yeah.
You are one of those. Okay.
I've got kids, man.
All right, so congratulations to Eclipse and Meeple Dungeon. Thank you for repping that for us. We appreciate that. Sorry, Meeple Mentor, but Nemesis just didn't make it, but that's okay. It's a really good game. Go play it anyway.
Yeah.
And at least made it to the finals.
Yeah. So, okay, so what does everyone think about that result? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I can't disagree with the final result. I got to say, I would have liked TI to make it through either 3 or 4, but I can't argue with Eclipse as a great game.
Yeah, I agree. You know what? I think if anything, this has really made me feel like I need to go play TI 4. That's what this whole podcast made me feel like. It's like my whole life has been leading up to this.
This was like the pep talk you needed to
go read the rules.
To go do it. I mean, I'm pretty sure the board game store has a copy.
Is there any chance you're going to be at the Niagara Board Gaming Weekend?
No, we won't be.
No?
When is that?
January, the weekend of the 20th, thereabouts.
Yeah, we should go for your birthday.
My birthday? That's hilarious. Oh, maybe we will. Maybe we'll make a stop.
Yeah.
It is my wife's birthday, and I'm going anyway. I mean, what's the problem?
Nice.
All right, so congratulations to Eclipse, rep by Meeple Dungeon, for not being the worst game
in our thing.
Whoa! And thank you, listeners, for putting up with us for 5 episodes.
Yeah, and thanks to all the amazing content creators for, providing content and coming on our show for us. It's a lot of work, and we really appreciate taking the time out of your busy schedules to do it.
Right. So if you had enough of us, you can drop out now, or you should definitely stick around because Friday Night Games and definitely a board game podcast are going to go into some other topics, just shooting from the hip.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
What are we doing?
All right. So, Royce, you wanted to talk about game length.
I just thought that it was a natural sort of progression since TI3 is not the shortest game on the planet.
Fill in our listeners. Like, how long does a game of TI3 and a game of TI4 take?
TI3, you're looking at probably 7 to 8 hours if you know what you're doing, and I played up to 12.
Wow.
TI4 is much faster, 6 to 8. I finished in 4 on it with 5 players once. That was a
strange,
fast game.
Were everyone staring at each other? Like, what happened?
No, it's just sometimes the nature of the game, because it is a high combat, it is a high interactive game, it can happen sometimes that things just flow smoothly and they go easily. Whatever reason, it was just a quick game. It worked out well. Any game can do that. I mean, if you want to talk game length, have you ever played Colonists?
No.
So Colonists, it's a resource management, almost like a Nui Rosenberg type of game, except it's designed to run from 30 minutes to 240 minutes.
Ooh, wow.
So you can play 1 era, 2 eras, 3 eras, 4 eras. If you play 4 eras, you're looking at least a 6-hour game, 8-hour game, anything like that. I mean, it's just...
That's the most Euro thing I've ever heard. Like, hey, you can play 1 era, or maybe you could play all 700 eras over a span of like a year or something like that. Which reminds me, has any of you heard of that new game that's coming out where it's like a legacy game, but as you do things, your choices end up like affecting future games, and then you're playing as like the doctor, and then you're giving advice, like you're doing something with genetics that change things for like your kids and then their kids, and every game is like you're going through a different generation of people. I don't know what the game is.
I think I've heard. I think I heard about that. Yeah.
I just thought that was such a cool concept, and that kind of reminds me of this like Euro era thing where it's like, hey, we're just gonna keep going. And
yeah, I think the problem with like our game group is because our game nights we start late, right? Like we start playing games like 9:30 at night. So playing a game that's gonna take 4 hours just seems kind of like out of our realm right now.
Sure.
But we end up playing games for 4 hours anyway. Right? So like, why not? I think it's just Matt's the rules guy, right? So he's got to sit and learn the rules to these games, then he's got to explain it. And then, we have a guy in our group who he takes a long time to make decisions sometimes, right? So it's hard to play games that have that strategy element to it, and for us to play it quick.
Yeah, I think a lot of it for us is just finding the game that will play over like 1 to 3 hours with allowing for people to have that analysis paralysis type of player.
Right.
So like TI, when you play it for 8 hours, I'm assuming it's because there's a lot of thinking going on, and the game is going to take that long.
You know what? No.
No?
And I think this is an important thing with long games. If it's going to be a long game, so if you're going to play one of these games that takes a long time, you need to have very short turns.
Mm-hmm.
You need to have something with as little analysis paralysis as possible, because that wait between the terms is what makes a game feel long.
Mm-hmm.
Like, take a game like Dominant Species. Have you played Dominant Species by any chance? Or nope.
Unfortunately,
I've been 0 out of every game I've mentioned so far.
Sorry.
Dominant Species, how it works is you have a list of actions on the side. You're selecting actions in sort of a draft at the beginning, and then you just go through the actions, and everybody takes one action. Because there isn't this sort of you go, and then around the circle again, you don't have a long wait between your turns. Your pawn will come up when it comes up, and it's fairly quick. If you're going to have these games that last 6 to 8 hours, or even anything else, it has to flow fast. If it doesn't flow fast, it feels like an 8-hour game.
Mm-hmm.
So you find with games like TI3, the turns tend to be quite short by comparison. And then even more so with something like Dominant Species, or even if you play an 18XX game, because 18XX, it's the same way. You're just laying 1 or 2 tiles down and that's it. And then the next person goes. You buy 1 stock, the next person goes. There's no long periods of downtime between the turns. And I think that's important for a long game.
Yeah, well, I think that's actually important for any game.
Yeah.
Because whenever you have
Fair
a game,
enough.
yeah, because I feel like whenever you have a game where there is downtime, people generally tend to hate it.
Well, when we look at our experience with Firefly,
Oh yeah, there's
right? So like we,
well,
I think it's the last episode. Previously we talked about it, but we decided to play Firefly with all the expansions, and there was like 9 or 10 of us playing this game, and I think everyone took 1 turn, and that was it. And it was just like, because after about half that, people started going. I went and played Rick and Morty on the Oculus Rift
for like an hour.
Before, and I went down.
But I mean, okay, referencing last episode, that was not the way to play Firefly with 10 people.
Not.
Like, you definitely should not do that. It's just like you could play Villainous with like 5 people. I don't recommend that either.
Right.
That's also going to turn a 1-hour game into like a 4-hour game.
We played it with 4 people.
Right, and that took 2-3 hours, right?
Yeah, it took a long time.
But okay, putting it in perspective, like Root, a game where you can set up your turns quickly, still takes forever with someone who's going to take a long time, right? So the general problem we have is just people we play with tend to want to know everything that's happening. They want to know all the information before they make a turn. So when it gets to their turn, they have to absorb all the information before they do anything. So that is what takes a long time for them. So our game group is more set up for something like Dominant Species, like you're saying, where everyone takes like a simultaneous turn, just does their move, and then it's done.
Mm-hmm.
Not simultaneous, but pretty quick anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is how we end up playing all our games anyway.
Well, that's how I play them. I'm not thinking hard about my decisions. I'm gonna put it out there. I'm just sort of like, well, this is a good decision. It's good enough. It's not a bad decision. Or I think about like, well, let me just do this thing. I'm not supposed to do it. Let me see what happens when I do this other move.
Yeah.
And then I gather information. It's all information gathering, right? Like you're like, what if I do this?
Yeah, Matt likes to break games.
It's less about breaking.
I picture Matt playing because he's a mathematician. I see him like, okay, I can get 1.5 points if I do this. I can get 2.25 points if I go here. I can get 3.25 points this turn, but next turn I'll get 1.5 points.
Well, kind of, but Royce, it's a little bit more like rules, right?
Yeah.
I'm looking at it and I'm thinking like, hey, how can I break the rules? Is there something they want me to do that they're allowing that I shouldn't be doing? And then I'm trying to do that.
Right.
Like, you can't tell me what to do. Play my own game, all right?
I was gonna say, I think you have a really good point though on any game can feel long, and if it has that, because take a game like Potion Explosion, which is not a long game, but because you cannot plan your turn ahead of time,
right?
Because if you do, it's just going to be frustrating because you know the next player is going to take whatever you were going to do, and then then it'll be a completely different board state by the time it gets to you. To me, that feels like a long game. I would rather play a 4-hour game than an hour of Potion Explosion.
Oh, really?
Personally. Yeah.
It's funny. I actually listened to Netflix Explained the other day, and they're talking about time, and they say that if you're stressed out, time goes a lot slower. So you must have been really stressed out playing Potion Explosion. People are taking your stuff there, Royce. Like, get out of here. That's mine.
That's really interesting. I would have thought it was exactly the opposite. I find when I'm stressed, my time flies by.
That's what I thought too, but they actually... Well, I mean, it's according to a Netflix document. Who the hell knows, right? But according to them, which
Who are we to argue with the Netflix people? Come on.
Yeah. Maybe they researched it. Maybe they didn't. I don't know. But that's what they said. They said stress slows down time, which is very interesting.
I feel like it depends on the kind of stress you're under. If it's the kind of stress that lets you worry about it, it slows down.
Right.
If it's the kind of stress where you just have to deal with it, I find that speeds things up, and maybe that I deal with that kind of stress more often.
I think it was the stress. Yeah, I think it was like new stress. So maybe if it's, you've done this a million times, it's not big, but when you have to absorb new information is when the stress occurs. So like, let's say you're walking down the street that you've never been through before, and you have that stress of taking in all the information of the new sites. Seems like a longer walk than when you walk back and you've seen everything, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah, the return trip home always feels quicker.
Absolutely. Yeah. There you go. Time explained. We're not just a board game podcast. We're a philosophy podcast.
There we go.
This might be the most intellectual thing that's happened on any podcast I've been on ever.
Welcome to the Friday Night Games, Royce. How are you enjoying it?
Yeah.
Probably some more information out of our brains, right?
So I'm curious, what's the longest game you guys have ever played? Like, I just want to sort of put it in perspective.
Well, that Firefly game was the longest. Well, I mean, technically, like, do you count D&D? Because we were playing D. I mean, they're still doing the same campaign we've been doing. We started 6 years ago.
Yeah.
We actually don't play with them anymore. That would be the longest game we've ever played. But if we rule that out, because that's its own beast, Firefly would be up there. We started at 1, 2 in the afternoon, and we ended at midnight, and we barely got through like 3 or 4 rounds. But that was our own fault. That was because we were playing 10 people.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. It was actually like it was a really fun idea, but it just like blew up in our face.
Yeah.
And then the other one would be, I think, Root. Our first time playing Root.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I think that's like, there's a lot of lessons to that. Like, I read the rules ahead of time, but I should have played a solo game or two.
Right.
And that really ruined it, because I was like, I read the rules, but I'm like, oh, I didn't really understand them. And then we're trying to play, and then I'm like, oh, what the hell are we doing? So it took a really long time to get through round 1, like almost like an hour to get everyone through one turn.
Yeah.
And then after that, we were just flying through. But that game went on for like 6 hours, I think.
Yeah, we played that for a long time, and then we posted a picture of it on like Twitter or something, and then Leader Games was like, I don't wonder why that guy won. You guys played it wrong.
Yeah, John won. It was your birthday.
Well,
and
yeah,
you
I
won.
remember,
Yeah, then Letter Games is like, you guys played that totally wrong.
Yeah.
As your birthday present, I have rigged the game so that you cannot lose.
Actually, the Letter Games person said that I wish they let me play like that on my birthday too, which was even funnier.
Yeah, that was probably one of the longer games, because we put aside an afternoon to do that.
That was a lot of work. Yeah.
I was trying to think if there's anything else.
I feel like there is. There's got to be one more. But there, probably one of the
You
games.
ever play the original Arkham Horror or 3rd edition?
Oh my God,
edition,
yes. You know what? Yes.
Yeah.
We played. I have it sitting on the other shelf that you can't see. But yeah, Arkham Horror, I think it was 3rd edition, was before we even started really getting into board games. Like, we're just sort of a little bit into it. I had my brother buy it for me, and I don't think you were there. We literally played that game for 5 hours, and we barely got through a quarter of it. And then everyone just gave up. They just gave up. They're like, I can't play this anymore. I'm like, okay. I guess I'm packing up this really expensive board game into these boxes to never be played again. I was very upset. But that was a long time ago. I've learned a lot, now.
I'm starting to think your problem is not long games as much as just getting the rules right for long games.
Well, we always screw up the rules. That's like our thing. If you listen to What You've Been Playing Wednesdays, we always make a little joke about how we screw up the rules.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a cautionary tale of how not to screw up the rules.
Yeah. No, it makes me like excited to play games like Twilight Imperium, but also I'm terrified.
Royce, okay, you know what, Royce? I'm going to throw that back at you. What if we took away Twilight Imperium? What would be one of your longest games that you played?
All right, you want to talk about making a mistake.
Okay.
This was our mistake. I played Robo Rally with 4 boards. Robo Rally is an amazing game if you keep it to 1 board. 1 board, no more. Never go beyond that. We played with 4, and by the time we had finished, I think 2 of the 4 checkpoints, we were just, all right, I've had enough of this, and we just sort of threw it in the box, and I'm not sure it's come out since, to be honest with you.
I don't blame you. How many hours did that take? Do you remember?
We started in the middle of the afternoon, and it was, we broke for dinner, came back after dinner, and kept on playing into the night, and it just wasn't. Yeah,
that's how we played Root. I think Root left a bad taste in everyone's mouth too. But I played it again and got everyone back on board. But
I would play Robo Rally any day on 1 board. But to put it on more,
and I knew, that's crazy.
It's such an obvious thing, but they let you do it.
Yeah.
Richard Garfield said, no, go ahead. It can be done.
I was going to say it's a Richard Garfield game. Also another mathematician. They're just like, it's just open-ended. Just do whatever you feel like. We're like the hippies of board game people, Just enjoy it. Interpret the rules. You'll be fine. Like, what? What do you want me to do, Richard?
Did you ever hear the story between Robo Rally and Magic the Gathering?
Well, you can refresh me on it. I think the gist was that didn't he make Robo Rally just so he can get Magic the Gathering created? Wasn't that
No,
like
it's the other way
other way
around. He
Okay.
went to Wizard and said, "Hey, I want to put you to publish Robo Rally." And Wizard said, "No, we're not interested in that at all. But if you want, we'll give you a few bucks to do a little card game for us because we really need a little card game right now." And he designs Magic the Gathering, which keeps every friendly local game store in business for the last 30 years, has made more money than anything else ever.
It's actually hilarious to me because it's sort of like Richard Garfield took his like simple combinatorics textbook and just combinatorics is like probabilities and just like, hey, I'm just gonna like, take all these rules and separate into sheets and then we'll have expansions to infinity. And the Wizard's like, damn, money.
It's really a good thing we turned down that weird robot game.
Yeah. And you know what? I bet you Richard Garfield is. I don't know. This is all speculation here, but I bet you Richard Garfield, if he was a true mathematician, would have been angry that they did not like his Robo Rally game. It was like, fine.
He really spent the time on the one he was really excited about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he's like, I'm going to show you. I'm going to make magic, jerks.
Life is weird.
Yeah, but that's exactly. I think that's probably how. Life usually pans out that way. You have this game you love, and then they're like, "Wow, that's stupid," and then you're like, "Here, fine. Here's a stupid game, Magic. It's so stupid," and then they're like, "Wow, that is amazing." $1 billion later, printing money. They are printing money because cards are basically like 2 cents, and they're selling it for like $1 billion. Oh, Magic.
But yeah, that might be the longest game outside of TI3 I've ever played. I've started to get heavy into 18XX lately. I played a bunch of 18XX, so I'm looking forward to playing some of the bigger ones.
I've never played 18XX, but I've heard so many good things about it that's actually on my list too. I know it takes a long time, but it's probably after Twilight Imperium.
So they're completely different games in every way. So you could play one or the other. What I would suggest, if you're going to get into 18X, find somebody to teach it to you, though.
Okay.
I picked up a couple. I'm reading the rules. I think I understood the rules, but I didn't understand how to play. And with somebody there, and everybody says, "Oh, just go on to the 18XX. There's an 18XX website where you can play it." No, I wasn't interested in that, and that was the right choice. Find a great group of people. Nahar and Chris have been fantastic with me. They've been showing me, walking me through it. I'm super excited about it. Yeah, if you want, I am now at the point where I can walk you through a game at some point if we're ever in the same city together. Yeah. But yeah, it's really worth it. But it is something that you need to do in person with somebody who knows how to play already.
Nice. Yeah, maybe I'll take you up on that offer on the Niagara show.
I do remember there was a group at Niagara not last year, but the last time they held Niagara, that were playing 18OE, which is the Oriental Express version.
Oh, nice.
And there were 12 of them that were going to play, and they estimated the game was going to take 24 hours. Their plan was to start at 8 o'clock Saturday morning, play as long as they can, and then start again at 8 o'clock Sunday morning and finish the game.
Are you trying to get in? Are you going to try to get in on one of those games that are that long? Or are you trying to look for like a smaller? I guess 18XX is probably smaller.
It's one of those things. It's such an experience. I want to do it, but do I really want to spend my whole convention doing just one game?
Yeah. Those are the decisions you got to make, right? Unless you convince the people to go up.
Book another weekend or something.
That's what I was gonna say. Maybe you convince the people to, or maybe you do what I think every podcast we've been talking about, because Twilight Imperium is such a long game, is like, hey, let's book a day, and everyone's gonna play that game for a day.
Yeah.
Twilight Imperium experience. Mm-hmm. That's what they should call it.
I have friends that play it every New Year's Day, just once a year. They sit down and play a game of Twilight Imperium every New Year's Day, and they've been doing it for decades at this point.
I think that's cool. I actually really like the tradition of it. I think that's what makes it really special. Cool. Here's a question. What type of gamer would like a short game, and what type of gamer would like a long game? And I feel like we had this question from Meeple Mentor.
If you're asking me, I think it comes down to the level of sociability you want in your game. Like my partner, Aaron, on the podcast, my co-host, Aaron, he's a very social gamer. He's all about having little chit-chats and talking, and it's all about being with people primarily, and the game is an avenue towards that. Mm-hmm. So he would prefer lighter, shorter games that You can have quick turnover, talk about the result. You can chat while you're playing, so it doesn't have as in-depth a strategy. Someone like myself, I prefer a heavier game. I prefer something where I can really dig my teeth into the strategies and get right in there and really like, and if you're talking to me, it's like, stop it! I've got my moves planned out. If you talk to me, I'm going to lose my next 3 moves. Yeah. So I think the sensibility is the defining factor between the types.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I think like I'm kind of in the middle. Like I like both. Like I can do both, but I think now because Matt and I kind of changed up how we're playing our board games. Instead of doing a new one each week, we're picking one and playing that playing like a month's worth or whatever. And doing that is kind of giving me a little bit of appreciation to just focus on the game we're playing. And not really. I mean, we still talk and stuff, but like not really. I think the conversation's more or less what's going on in the game versus what I had for dinner.
I also think that when you play a game like what we're doing 4 times like a month's worth of games, and you know the rules, it's actually easier to have those conversations.
Yeah,
it's harder.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's harder when you only play like before, and when we're doing heavy content creation, we're only playing a game once. So you're like, play a game once, new game. Play a game once, new game. There's like almost no room for that small talk because you got to learn a new game every week, and that's it's stressful for them, stressful for us. So that's why we changed how we play games, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
That makes perfect sense to me. I have to admit, I'm the type of person, I look at the new game and I go, well, I haven't played that yet.
Well, so are we.
I know I want to play the old game again, but that's new. I'm very excited for the new game, even though I've been championing TI all this time, the oldest of the games.
Yeah. Well, you played it enough,
so
right?
That definitely affects it, yeah. Do you guys play online at all?
Online board games? No, I don't.
No, like on Board Game Arena or anything like that?
Well, we did a lot through COVID.
Yeah.
And that actually kind of soured my experience a lot. Sorry, let me rephrase that. That actually sounds terrible. It's really good. I like it. It definitely helps when people are out of town. Like we were able to play with people in the States. Some of our friends live in Michigan, and we were able to play with them because the border is closed. But at the same time, it took forever to do things. So and that was super frustrating. So a game that might only take us an hour to play would take like 3 hours because of just the controls.
Yeah.
And I think that was just kind of sad for me. So I was really excited to go back into playing normally every week.
Mm-hmm.
But everyone else wasn't because COVID basically ruined social plans. So we don't have everyone we used to, but at least we get
It's interesting you said that because that's exactly what I was sort of wondering about, because that was my experience as well. I find that games feel like they take a lot longer when you play them on these sites. Mm-hmm. And even sites like Board Game Arena, where it's an automated site, I feel like the game just doesn't have that same pop to it. You don't feel like you're snapping from turn to turn. And I was wondering if it was just me. But no, I guess the game length really does feel different online than it does in person.
Yeah, I also feel like, our listeners know, but I was a teacher for 4 years, and then I'm a computer programmer now. And there is social interactions that you experience in person that when you're not in person, like the game could be boring because you're not experiencing what people are thinking through their faces or how they're even in the room. Their presence in the room gives you like some sort of thoughts and feelings. You don't experience that on there. Even if you have like Teams Up or you have that other thing everyone uses. It's that chat program, not Discord, but
Zoom.
Yeah. Even if you have a Zoom and you have the faces, you still don't have that interaction between people in a live room. Mm-hmm. And it even goes down to podcasting too. Me and John, like during COVID, we did a lot remotely because obviously we couldn't go to each other's house.
Yeah.
And a lot of those, like they were fine, but it's hard to interject. It's hard to like read emotions on people's faces and actually then take that into account. Like for instance, like with me and John in the same room, it's very easy for me to interject on his comment. I just kind of like, move my hand and wave a bit, and he sees that, and then I can see the emotion in our faces when we talk about something. I also see John sleeping. And like we're on Discord right now, and we're able to talk to each other, but there's also like I actually can't see you. I actually have my notes in front of me. And so I don't know if you're trying to interject, you're like trying to wave at me. I don't see that.
No, I'm not nearly that polite. Yeah.
Yeah, I find like the online games for me, like Matt said, it just took forever. Like we played like Merv online.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even get to finish because my kid woke up, but it was so long, and we were like, I think one round.
One
maybe?
round took
one
like
round,
an hour. It was like an hour
Yeah.
per person, but every time I heard someone talk
Wow.
about it, it's like it wasn't that long in person,
Yeah.
right?
So
And it's just also, I could go on about this, but
Yeah.
like dragging of pieces and things takes forever, right? Like I have two hands for a reason. I could grab many pieces with my hands. I can't do that. I can't do that on the board. I can only one at a time.
yeah.
Oh, hold shift. No, that is terrible too. And I'm a tech person.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Create something better then.
I'm lazy.
There you go.
I'm not disagreeing with any of you. I will say, try something like Yukata or Board Game Arena, where it's a little more automated for you. You might enjoy it a little bit more than the Tabletopia, or I think is what you were playing.
Yeah. Tabletopia. Yeah, we were playing Tabletopia and Tabletop Simulator. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
I've definitely heard like if you get like, for instance, if you bought Wingspan or you bought the root game, they're a little more automated, but they're like it's a better experience when you're playing, basically.
Absolutely. No, there's no comparison.
Yeah.
All right.
Excellent.
Well, that was really fun.
We went so far off topic, we have no idea what the topic was anymore. But
Board game length or something? Who cares?
It's not the length that matters.
All right, so Royce, where can everyone find definitely a board game podcast, which I'm just going to say is really funny. If you haven't checked it out, definitely check it out. Royce and Aaron they're really good chemistry, and they're very funny to listen to.
Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Yeah, you can find us literally anywhere. If you know where podcasts are, we're there. If you're downloading, I don't know, Friday night games or something like that, we're probably there too. As long as you're not coming directly from their site. But don't do that. Go to iTunes or something. We're there. You can, if you want to reach us again, you can reach us on Twitter. I'm on Twitter all the time at Board Definitely. Aaron is on Facebook all the time at Definitely Board. Or you can email us at definitelyboard@gmail.com. But download us, Definitely a Board Game Podcast, which is the laziest board game podcast name on the market. But, it's definitely ours, if nothing else.
Awesome.
Thanks again for coming on.
Yeah, thank
you.
you.
My pleasure. Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it.
Awesome.
Thank you. All right, if you like what you hear, don't forget to follow us on your favorite streaming platform. You can follow us on Instagram at Friday Night Games _official, Twitter at Friday Night GMS, and as always on our website, FridayNight.games. Again, I'm John.
I'm Matt.
It's Friday night. Let's have some fun.
Say goodbye, Royce.
Goodbye, Royce.
That was awesome.